right? So what we will do is we're going to clean our Excel file first, or clean our data prior to importing it to our statistical software JASP, right? So this is the practice data set in Excel file, right? And we see here four variables, and that is in column A we have the sex variable. In column B we have education in years. In column C we have job category, and that there are three of them. That is sales, education, and healthcare. And the fourth variable is experience or previous experience in terms of months, right? Now, so what we will do is for each of the categorical variables that we have in our data set, that is for the sex variable and for the job category, we need to recode them, okay, or we need to recode the different categories so that we will be dealing with numerical values for our Excel file, right? So to begin that, we are going to highlight the first row, okay, and we're going to activate the sort and filter function, which is found here, and we click on the filter function. Once you click on that, you will see the drop down arrows in each of the headings of our column. And let's deal first with the sex variable. So in this case, if I click on the drop down arrow, we will see female and male are the two categories that we find in column A, right? So what we will do is we're going to unselect everything, okay? But instead, we are just going to select now the female category. So we will check that. Then we click on OK, right? And we notice that all the other cells with the male category are hidden. So we only see the female category, right? So what we will do is we're going to recode the female category as 1. Okay, so in this case, we will put 1. And we need to double check because in this case here, we notice that there is an error message. And if I'm going to click on that, here Excel is not reading our number 1 as a number, but it is being stored as a text. So we need to rectify this particular error. So in this case, we're going to convert it to number. So we click on that. Now, since we have converted this to number form, we are now going to copy 1, which is our code for the female category, for the rest of the cells that we have in column A. So what I will do is I'll hover my mouse here and you will see this symbol, right? And we can click and drag now up until the last cell with the female category, so that all of those cells will be replaced by our numerical value, which is 1, to replace the female code that we have. Okay? Now we will do the same for our male category. So I'll go back to the drop down arrow. I'll click that. And I'm now going to check male. Okay? And we notice that all the other cells are hidden, which were coded as 1. Okay? Because we only chose male. So in this case, we are going to recode male as number 2. Okay? So we will do the same. Let's see if there will be an error message. And there is. In this case, we need to change this, or we need to convert it to number, okay, to ensure that the number 2 that we have encoded here is being read as a numerical value, right? And we are now going to copy this to the rest of the cells with the male category in this particular variable or for this particular column. Okay, so all the male categories now will be replaced by number 2. Okay, so there you go. Okay, now we scroll up, right, to ensure that we will see the topmost variable or data values. Now, don't forget, I will have to go back to this drop-down arrow for this particular column, and I have to select all. So take notice that the values that we see in column A are 1 and 2. So there are no more female or male categories seen in this particular column because we have recoded them as 1 for female and 2 for male, right? So selecting all of them will unhide all the other cells that we have in the first column. Okay, right now, I'm going to just highlight this just to signify that this particular variable has been cleaned already. Okay, and I will do the same for the second variable. So education in years, right? Education in years is quantitative type of variable. And in this case, we don't need to do recoding because we are not dealing with a categorical variable. In this case, I will have to retain education in years as is. And I'm just going to highlight this particular column to signify that these two variables are now ready to be imported to JASP. Okay, now let's deal with our third column or with our third variable. So we have the job category, and that there are three categories, that is sales, education, and healthcare. Let's deal with them one by one. We will do the same. So we'll click on the drop down arrow, okay, and then let's deal first with the sales category. So I will uncheck everything, and I'm just going to check sales. Okay, so it's going to hide education and healthcare, and it will only show us the sales job category. Let's click on OK. Okay, so take notice, all the other cells have been hidden except for the sales job category. So we will do the same. Sales job category will be coded as 1. Okay, then we double check it if there will be an error message. And in this case, there's none. Okay, so we can proceed to click and drag this particular cell to copy 1 to all of the cells with sales as a job category. Okay, so there you go. Now, let me scroll up. Okay, double check. So this is important. Double check. We were not able to change the very first cell with sales as a job category. So I will have to redo what I did earlier. So we click on 1. Okay, and then, or we recode it as 1. Then we click and drag it to the last cell with sales as a job category. Okay, so there you go. So double checking will ensure that you have indeed recoded all the sales job categories. Okay, so we can now scroll up. We will go back to the topmost part of our data file. Okay, and then what I will do next is I will have to choose education so that all the other job categories will be hidden except for education. Then we will do the recoding. Okay, so education will be recoded as 2. Okay, double checking, no error message. So we are now good to proceed with having to copy that particular cell to the rest of the rows or to the rest of the cells with education as a job category. Okay, and all education job categories, scrolling up, double checking, are indeed have been recoded. We'll do the same for the healthcare. So I'll click on the drop down arrow, then click on healthcare, right? And click OK. So all healthcare cells are shown, and we will do the recoding. We will record it as number 3, and then click and drag this cell so that all healthcare cells, okay, will be recoded as number 3. Okay, and there you go. Now double checking, we will scroll up, okay, to ensure that all cells have been recoded. Now we will, don't forget, we will go back to our drop down arrow and we are going to select all. Now take notice, there are no more text involved, but what we see are numerical values of 1, 2, and 3. Let's select them all so that all of them will be shown, okay, in our data, right? Now for the job category, we have cleaned this particular variable, and let me just highlight that to signify that this data is now ready to be imported to JASP. Now let's do the same for the previous experience in months. Now take notice that previous experience in months is numerical in nature, meaning to say it's quantitative type of variable. So meaning we don't need to do recoding. Okay. So here I'm also going to highlight it as all of the variables now are ready to be imported to JASP. Now, however, before I proceed with the next step, I'm going to highlight the first row to deactivate our filter function. Okay, so highlighting that, then I'll go back to sort and filter function, click on that one, and I'm going to deactivate the filter function by having to click this once more. Now take notice, when I click it, all the drop down arrows in each of the heading of the column, okay, are disappeared. Okay, so that means to say we have deactivated the filter function. Okay, now the next step that we're going to do is very crucial, okay, in preparation for having to import this data file to JASP, right? That means to say in here, we need to save our data file from Excel as a .csv file, meaning to say it is in the format of comma delimited. So how are we going to do that? So what we will do is we click on file, all right? Then we have to look for save as. Do not click on save, okay? Because it will be retained as being saved to the Excel format. Okay, so what we will do is save as, and then I wish to, or you locate in which folder you would want to save your file. So in my case, I would want to save it in this particular folder, right? And don't forget this particular folder as in this case here, it will, you need to locate this particular folder once we open our JASP program. So in this case here, this is our practice data set. Okay, so let me just indicate this is for demonstration, right? Demonstration. Okay, so this is our practice data set demonstration. And don't forget, we're going to change the format of this file. So we will be focusing on this part of this dialog box that is saved as type. Or what type are we going to save this? So we click on that, then look for CSV that is comma delimited. So take note, it is CSV comma delimited, not CSV UTF-8, which not CSV Macintosh, not CSV MS-DOS. So be careful, right? So again, it's just CSV comma delimited. So we will click on this, right? And don't forget to click on save. Okay? So we are now ready to import our .csv file, okay, for our practice data set.